Everyone, it is me, Tia Torres, back with another episode of my Tia Talk podcast. Or actually, are we calling it my Tia Talk podcast? Since I'm simultaneously recording this on my Spotify platform along with my TikTok platform, and then to go onto my YouTube and my Patreon platforms. But we'll figure that part later. More importantly, we are on part 2 of Rescue 101, which is a mini series that I am doing under this platform, or under this podcast title, excuse me. So, to address again the most commonly, the most commonly asked question I get, which is I want to start my own rescue. How do I do it? So, in the episode before this, I did talk about, oops, I forgot to bring my Spotify microphone closer. Hold on, guys. Okay. I did talk about how starting a rescue out of your house will affect the humans in your life and the part that it plays on them. So today I had something happen that reminded me of what I wanted to talk about next. And that is, how is it going to affect the animals in your house, your existing pets? So let me tell you what happened. I got a call from some of my employees at one of our locations that this one particular little pit bull was not doing well there. Now, mind you, there's only about 15 dogs at this location, so there's not that many dogs. But she was just losing it, just bouncing off the walls, raging, resource guarding everything, just breaking out of a crate, climbing over the fence of the kennel, just losing it. So that got me thinking, what happens if you bring a dog home from the shelter and he or she begins to act like this? What are you going to do about it? And how will it affect the other dogs in your house or cats or whatever you have? I mean, let's face it, most people that want to get into animal rescue already have some existing pets, right? Now, I am fortunate in that the dogs in my house are very used to dogs going in and out of here. Okay. Although they are all hound dogs at this point, they're all very dog friendly, so they don't get bothered by another dog acting, like a lunatic. So I brought this little dog, this little pit bull, to my house. Now, I'm not thrilled that there's another dog in my house, but as you can hear, it's very quiet here. It's only noisy during the morning, during feeding time, because, food and hound dogs, oh, yeah. Now, with the pit bulls, I could keep it quiet in the morning, but these hound dogs, they live for their food. So we'll see tomorrow morning how she does. But that being said, I am in a fortunate situation where I can accommodate a dog that is having behavioral issues. So my question is, can you, if you go and get a dog out of a shelter, and let's say he or she turns out to not like your kids or be very dog reactive or want to eat your cat, what are you going to do about it? Can you accommodate this dog and work through the kinks? Let's face it, dogs coming out of shelters or off the street, you don't know what you're getting into. So that's another part of this equation that has to be answered before you take the leap of faith, right? So if your dogs at home are very reactive and not good with other dogs, I would say don't do it. You don't want to upset your household as well. Because that is, why? Why would you want to upset your own dogs for the sake of, going in to be a rescue? So, maybe you can designate another part of the house, ones that they don't have access to, but they're going to know there's another dog there. So there's that issue. Then your cats, if you have cats. If your cats have never been around dogs, how fair is that to them? So More questions need to be answered, right? Okay. So we're going to make this like a two-parter within a one-parter. That makes sense. Now let's talk about the upfront expenses just to take one dog in. Okay? So, in dealing with dog rescue in the South, it is going to separate in dealing with dog rescue in any other part of the country. And that is because of the heartworm situation here, okay? So we're gonna save that for like another episode all into its own. So maybe part 3 is going to be rescuing dogs in the South, okay? But for the sake of this, let's say in California, when I was in California, okay? The initial expense when you bring a dog in is you want to take it to the vet, right? Get him or her dewormed, vaccinated. So let's just say your average vet visit, let's just say $75. Okay? That's just for the visit. Then the shots and everything else. So we're talking now like what? Like maybe 100. Sorry, I'm adjusting myself here. About $100. So can we just allocate $100 for the very first vet visit? All right. Now, that's if the dog doesn't have any, pending, issues and ailments. But let's say you got lucky, the dog you rescued is okay. Maybe a little bit of dewormer, that's about it. Little, gain some weight, we're good to go. Well, now you want to get the dog spayed or neutered, right? Now, I know there are some places where you can get low-cost spay and neuter, but there's more not than there is. So I'm going to lowball spay and neuter surgery costs because it is into the hundreds now. But we're gonna lowball this, and we're gonna say $200. Okay, so now you're up to $300 that you've spent on this dog. Okay, that's just to get the dog somewhat healthy enough to be adopted, and that's if the dog is not in bad shape. Okay. Do you have a spare $300 to invest? I'm going to say invest in every single dog you bring in. But let's just talk about this first one. Okay. Now, that being said, this is depending on whether the dog ends up with a good temperament or not. Because, let's face it, when you bring a new dog into your home, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen as the dog gets comfortable. That's going to be a whole nother episode, onto its own. So, for the sake of this episode, part 2, Rescue 101, how are your existing pets going to react? And be honest with yourself. How do they act now? When you take them out on walks, when you go out in public. Okay? I mean, not your cats, of course, but your dogs. If your dogs are like wild animals and want to kill everything they see, yeah, I wouldn't recommend starting a dog rescue out of your house. Okay, so there's that. What are your existing pets going to act like? And can you accommodate a new dog coming in to keep them all separated? Number 2, can you afford to dump $300 minimum into a new dog just to get the initial medical done? For some people, that's a whole week's paycheck. Okay? Something to think about. All right. Well, that concludes part 2 of Rescue 101. And as always, my mission is to rescue, but I absolutely hope that I don't have too much longer because you guys are going to step up and do it for me. All right, guys. See you on the next one.